Okay. Hi, I'm Carlene Clark. I'm the store manager in Fishers, and I am so fortunate today to be talking about Châteauneuf-du-Pape with Mike. Mike is a long-time employee here, and he knows more about Châteauneuf-du-Pape than, you know.
Probably more than anybody really wants to know.
That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I know about as much as you could put in a thimble. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike, and he's going to talk about this particular vintage and winery in France he just visited in 2018. So he's really the expert on this.
Well, thanks, Carlene. Yeah, I love Rhone wines, and Châteauneuf-du-Pape is the benchmark for the Southern Rhone. And this is really a nice wine. I visited Chateau Saintes Nalys back in October of 2018, and actually got to taste this particular wine in 2016, as they were just getting ready to ship the first shipments to the United States. So it's a great one. Carlene, what did you think of it?
Yeah, I thought it was really approachable. The nose on it, it was almost a little bit earthy to me, but typically with the Châteauneuf-du-Pape that I've found in the past, they can be really earthy, barnyardy, a lot of kind of old world notes. This one is a little bit more fruity, a little more approachable. I'd say this is a great pop and pour for your Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. This one is, for me, kind of like a gateway drug, the Châteauneuf-du-Pape. I'm a firm believer in terroir, and this does reflect the place that it comes from, particularly from Chateau Saintes Nalys, because there's 3 vineyards there. And we'll talk about that in just a second, but I think this is one that people who are familiar with Châteauneuf-du-Pape would like, and I also think it's one that people who have never had a Châteauneuf-du-Pape would find very approachable, and they would really enjoy it as well. To your point, Carly, it doesn't have that prominent earthiness, or that you would say barnyardiness. I know you don't care for in wine, or some of the rustic structure you find in some of the bigger Châteauneuf-du-Papes, particularly those from the La Croix area. But it has a really great balance. I think that's one of the things going for it, between the tannins, which are really fine, although I could still, on the back of my teeth, I could still feel some of the tannin. But the tannin and the acidity are really in harmony with this, which makes it great for food. It's got a lot going for it. It is a fairly full-bodied wine. I wouldn't say it's full-bodied, but it's fairly full-bodied. Mm-hmm. It's savory, and it doesn't have that heavy mouthfeel that you can get with a lot of the bigger, more structured Châteauneufs. It's got a great bright finish, and it makes a fantastic presentation.
Yeah, it does, and I really like the blackberries and the cherries that go along with this. So I just thought it was an excellent wine, especially for the price.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. In the nose, you get kind of a candied cherry. In fact, that's probably the most prominent thing. You get a lot of fruit. There's some herbal notes in there as well, but they're not prominent. They're not up front. Maybe a little thyme, lavender mixture, and it is a Châteauneuf-du-Pape, so there is some damp earth to it, but it's not that barnyardy, that you can get. Flavor-wise, there's a lot of red fruit. This is all about the fruit.
It is all
this
about the fruit.
This one's all about it, especially the cherry that you mentioned. Raspberry, a little strawberry in it as well. Mm-hmm. Particularly the brightness on the finish, I get a little bit of strawberry there. It is still savory, so there is still, maybe a little toastiness, some kind in there.
Yeah.
But I think this one is totally about the fruit, and it comes from being aged in stainless steel and oak foudres, which are the huge big oak barrels that really are neutral oak. So you don't get any kind of oak notes at all. So it's very fresh.
Yeah, I think they start off in some stainless steel.
They do.
And then move a little bit of it into the foudres, which I don't even know how they could impart any type of flavor because they're so big, and the oak is so far away from a lot of the wine, so it's hard to imagine that it would have any influence at all, really.
Yeah, I think with this particular one, it's a blend, mainly Grenache, and then Syrah and 4 other grapes, but The Syrah, I think, is probably what they put in the food, and the Grenache, I think they left in stainless.
I see.
If I recall right, it's been a couple years, so I'm not sure, but I think that's how they had it set up. I said, to me, one of the best things about it would be the food pairings that could go with
Right.
this wine.
Right. You know, I talked about Thanksgiving dinner, and one reason I brought up Thanksgiving is because this is a terrific value for a Châteauneuf-du-Pape. A lot of people like to have Châteauneuf-du-Pape around at Thanksgiving because it just pairs with so many foods on the table. But the price is always so intimidating. So with a 93 score and the price that we have, it's just a no-brainer for Thanksgiving if you can, want to plan that far ahead. And Mike, we were talking a little bit about the soil and how that imparts some flavor into the wine.
Yeah, this is Château de Nalys is an unusual chateau in that it has about 125 acres of vineyards, and it's in 3 main areas within Châteauneuf-du-Pape. The first area is the Le Craw, that's the one you see the pictures and all the tourism brochures of the vineyards, where all you see are these river wash round rocks, and you don't even see any dirt. That's one of the areas that some of the grapes come from. In fact, about 1/3 of them come from Le Craw. Le Craw imparts a lot of structure into the wine because the rocks collect the heat during the day and then reflect back at night.
Right.
Next to Le Craw is another one of their vineyards called Bois Sénéchal. Again, a lot of the same kind of rocks, but the underlying sand and clay is different, gives structure, and that's where the Mourvèdre comes from. That's in this particular wine. And then the third one is called Nalys, and it's right next to the winery, and it's more of a limestone, sandstone, sandy structure. And that's where the finesse in this wine comes from. We talked about it in terms of weight. It's a lighter bodied Châteauneuf compared to like a Domaine Pégase or something like that. But the name of it is Saintes Pierres. And Pierre in French means stones.
Oh.
So it's holy stones.
Okay.
Which is, what would you expect from Châteauneuf-du-Pape, but holy stones. And speaking of holy stones, can you keep a secret?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, well, don't tell anybody,
Okay.
particularly not Philippe Guigal, because I don't want him coming after me, but while I was there, I picked up one of the holy stones.
Oh, okay.
that was
I wondered why you had that rock there.
in the Nalys. And the reason I had it is, you go ahead and you can kind of touch it, you can feel how fine it's got the sandstone to it.
Right.
That's what gives this particular wine its silkiness and its smoothness. And 1/3 of the grape juice that's in this came from that vineyard. I don't recommend picking up stones in the vineyard. It's highly frowned upon, but I just couldn't resist. It's a holy stone, for crying out loud. So this wine being the blend of those 3 vineyards, I think that's what makes it so approachable, truthfully.
Yep.
And it's just, again, I would repeat myself to say I think that serious Châteauneuf-du-Pape lovers would like this, and those who are new to Châteauneuf-du-Pape would certainly enjoy it.
Absolutely.
In conclusion, I guess what I would say about this wine is that the 2016 Saintes Pierres de Nalys is exceptional for several reasons. One, it is a 2016, and 2016 was just an extraordinary vintage in both the northern and southern Rhone. Maybe even as good or even better than the 2011. So an exceptional vintage. This wine is one of a kind, something we haven't touched on. It's got the Guigal label on it, but it's called Château de Nalys. That's because Guigal bought what was at the time Domaine de Nalys in July of 2017. So this 2016 was harvested in fall of 2016, was vinified by Domaine de Nalys, but then was aged and blended by Guigal. So this is a very unique wine. I don't know of any other where 2 very prominent producers
Yeah.
have come together and produced one single vintage, one single
Right.
wine.
Yeah. And you
And-
said this is the first vintage that this has happened.
It's the only.
The only one.
It's the only
Okay.
one, yeah.
Yeah, because
Because
that's
starting in
partnership,
2017, it became Gigal.
Okay, great.
So that makes it also very rare from that standpoint. It's also really special because of the quality of the fruit that went in it. That's why Gigal purchased Domaine Denali, was because of the fantastic fruit that they have. And it's, there's 6 different grape varieties in this particular one. Chateau Denali actually grows all 13 of the varietals that you see in Châteauneuf-du-Pape red wine. The vines in this average like 45 years, and the yield was only about 2 tons per acre. So it's exceptional fruit that they're putting into it.
Right.
And as you mentioned and point out, it's really special because it's ready to drink now. You could cellar it, I think, for a few years. It might gain some complexity, but there's no reason to.
Right.
It's blended for the fruit and for the freshness. It's not for the big overpowering wine, and the balance makes it a perfect food wine.
Thanksgiving is a great time to buy Châteauneuf-du-Pape. This particular Châteauneuf-du-Pape would go with just about anything that you would have on the table. You would put it with roast beef or chicken. We have set out some charcuterie ideas. So, and I am not the type of person that likes to pair my wine with food necessarily. I like to drink a glass of wine and enjoy my glass of wine. But that being said, the salamis, cheeses, and that type of food really brings out the fruit and a lot of different nuances regarding the wine. So this is my idea of pairing food with my wine, is a little bit of snacking and drinking.
Yeah, well, no, and I'm the same way. I'm not a great pairer of food and wine, but this one I think would go with any of the traditional meat dishes. Beef stew, go with that. I'd even, rotisserie chicken from Kroger, for crying out loud, be good with something like that.
Yeah.
And of course, I think some of the classic dishes that would go with it, because it's got some Syrah in it that gives it a little bit of spiciness. Even a beef bourguignon, I think would go with that. Cassoulet, with sausage and white beans, would be great with that.
Very versatile.
And I know it's certainly not a classic Rhone pairing, but I just like to have a nice warm baguette and some of the stronger brie or camembert.
Yeah, perfect.
Make me really happy.
Yeah. One of the baguettes that we sell here at the store would be ideal.
Yeah. You mentioned the value too. Truthfully, at $35.99 for a Châteauneuf-du-Pape, that's a heck of a value.
It's really
and
unheard
it's one
of.
that's ready to drink. So,
Okay, well, cheers to us.
cheers.
Enchanté.
Santé.